Similar figures proportions. Okay, now this is actually not that tough. It looks maybe sometimes a little bit harder than it actually is. So let's take a look at how we set up a similar figure proportion. Well, basically, similar figures are two shapes that have the same shape but different sizes and maybe a different rotation. We call it different orientation. So it might be flipped around, it might be rotated, it might be mirrored, but it has the same shape, but different size and orientation. So let's check this out. We're going to start with, again, a proportion is always two ratios, two fractions that are equal to each other. So we always need to start out line equals line. Now, there are different ways to do this, but one way to set it up so that it always works is to put shape 1, have one fraction be from the first shape, and one fraction be from the second shape. All right? And then you're going to put the deal is, you got to match up the same parts on the two different shapes. Remember, they have the same, there's two shapes, have the same shape. So there should be, for each part on one, there should be a corresponding part on the other. Let's see how we can match those up on these two triangles. Okay, so this 3 here, which part matches up with that on this triangle? Well, let's see, this 3 is the shortest side, so it needs to be the shortest side on this triangle. So this side and this side are the same parts of two different shapes. Okay, and then let's see, this side right here, this 5, will match up with this side. Okay, corresponding parts is what we call those. They are on the same part of two different shapes. So now let's set up our ratios. So shape 1, I'll call this shape 1. Okay, is going to have a 3 over 5. Okay, the first part, the second part. It doesn't matter which part comes first, as long as you do it the same on both shapes. So I got the first part here. So on shape 2, that first part is going to be this 8. All right, so an 8, and then the other part is going to be an x. All right, an x. So shape 1 has 3 over 5. 3 over 5. Shape 2 has 8 over x, so 8 over x. All right, now all I got to do is solve the proportion, just like you've been doing. All right, so you can cross multiply and divide. Easy way to get that answer. Okay, so let's look at one of these together. So let's look at this shape. I got to match up the parts. Okay, so let's see, this part right here, all right, which side is it going to match up with? Well, it's got to match up with this side or this side, and I can see this side's a little bit shorter, and this side's a little bit longer. So the shorter side needs to match up with this shorter side, and the longer side would need to match up with the longer side on this one. Okay, so those are my corresponding parts. I need to go here, x over 48. That's the first shape, part 1, part 2. And the second shape, 5 over 6. Okay, from there I can see if I can solve this any way I want to, find out what x equals by solving the proportion. Okay, so on each one, you got to match up the parts, and some of them get a little difficult when they flip them around and everything. So you got to be able to match up those parts, set up the proportion, and solve it. All right, take a few minutes, try that out.